Live from the virtual Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, here in the beautiful country of Spain. Welcome, sim racing fans, to round number 6 of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy, live on Apex Racing TV. Happy that you all could join us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon here in the beautiful hills of Spain. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Joining me in the commentary box is Jim Hodgson with Dennis Branch in the production trailer, controlling all the wonderful cameras and overlays that you are seeing. And Jim, the final stretch of the championship is here. Barcelona this week, Watkins Glen next week. It's going to be a bit of an insane finish to this championship, especially for GT3M and GT4 Pro, as they are both the closest points championships that we have currently in this championship. And GT3 Pro and GT4M also providing their exciting action for their remaining spots there, but two distinct champions going out there and two distinct front runners for both GT3M and GT4 Pro are being recognized as we head into this round.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's been the story, Josh, hasn't it, since the very first race at Spa. It's been absolutely nonstop and just, I don't know. I mean, I know that you feel the same way I do after these races, which is just, it's almost exhausting from how much fun it is. There's so much going on all over the track, and I say fun, but I know these drivers take it very seriously. Yeah, it's going to be a great finish over the next couple of races.
And on those points, looking at GT3 Pro at the moment, it's about a 32-point gap between Gaiden Anger and Nick Madsen up at the front. Nicholas Helm, Matthias Beer, Ross Deal all fighting for those remaining spots in the top 5. And you can even look further back, Jonathan Paulette, Nelson D'Souza, Mark Grauer, Neil Cooper, and Lewis Ward rounding out your top 10, fighting for positions there. And moving on to GT3M, you can see how close that points fight is up at the top. 110 points for Tom Bingham, Julian Martinson, Manuel Wacker fighting for second place right now as they're both tied. And you can throw Dennis Lemke in there as well. 91 points for him, but everyone's chasing Tom Bingham up at the front with 110 points, Jim. That's a lot of points. It's a good gap over the remaining drivers in GT3M, 18 points, but that could go away in a single race, and especially over these next two races if we see some bad luck from Tom Bingham in the 285.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm sure that plays on the drivers' minds. Hopefully not too terribly much. I mean, I don't know Bingham personally, but he seems like a nice guy. I'd like to see him, you know, hang on to the results he deserves. But, you know, same story for everybody else in the class.
GT4 Pro also very close together. 12 points separate these two drivers. Christo Ublev, who we're taking a look at right now, and Mergum Aliou. And it's been a close fight between those guys all season long. And even you can throw in Piotr Maduzak, who is currently sitting 22 points behind in third. He also has an opportunity in that Carbon Sim Sport 369 to be a spoiler of the championship if he gets a good amount of points in these next couple of races. With only 2 rounds left, points are more important than ever. And our last class, GT4M, looking a little bit like a runaway from Daniel Markov, who has been ultimately the best driver in GT4M the entire season, but Boyko Shopov trying to make a last-ditch effort to get himself up into that first spot. But right now, Jim, it looks like Daniel Markov just needs a couple of good results, and he's going to be walking away with the GT4M championship, even coming out of Barcelona today.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see him right there. He's already got himself up into the GT4 Pros, is where we usually see him. We have seen some good battles between Markov and Shopov. I'm thinking to Spa, the first round of the trophy. They had some good on-truck battles. Silcock in there as well. Yeah, that Aliou and Ublev battle is really something to watch.
And taking a look at Gaiden Anger in the 123, who has been the main driver in the championship for GT3 Pro the entire season. He has so many wins on this season. And just taking a look where we stand currently in the season results as Nick Madsen puts up another time, 141.962. Geithanger gonna come across the line. Will he improve at all? 141.511. He does in fact improve and moves his time further up in the qualifying standings as Jonathan Paulette and Nick Madsen sit second and third. Now taking a look at Mergham Aliou making his way through the final corner and to come across the start-finish line. And taking a look at the race-by-race standings, Geithanger has a worst finish on the season of 4th, and he has won every single round from there. So he is on a great streak of wins, a 3-win streak since round number 3. He has a chance to go 4 in a row here in Spain. And Jim, that's not that bad of a pick if you choose Geithanger, but we've seen mistakes from him before. Could it be possible we see a different winner for only the second time this season?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anything's possible. Yeah, for sure. You know, what'll be really interesting at the start to me is to see that battle between Poulet and Madsen. As you know, these guys tend to, right at the start, Poulet usually seems to me like tries to cover off any sort of a pass by Madsen. We're looking at Madsen's Lamborghini here. So it'll be interesting to see that if we see that again at this race. Madsen would love to catch up to Anger and maybe ride his rear wing into the distance as he scampers away, but Poulet will do everything he can to cut that off.
Now, going through that section of the track, some fans might have noticed exactly, especially if they're familiar with Formula One, what exactly happened to that last 3-turn chicane coming to the finish line. And if they've seen it also, there's a bit of a change coming down the back straightaway. We are running the historic layout of this track, which is around circa 1995. Cuts out that final chicane, cuts out the tight left-hander coming down the back straightaway, and overall makes the track flow a little bit better for these GT3 cars and the GT4 cars as well. So, Jim, another challenge because these drivers are racing on a different layout than they might be used to. I'm not 100% sure what the official series is run here at Spain, but the historic layout is definitely different, especially if some of these drivers are more accustomed to open-wheel racing here on the service.
Yeah, you know, Barcelona is one of those tracks where it kind of has something. It has something for everybody in a way because of the design. I mean, you got the straights, there's the carousels, there's heavy braking zones. So even with the parts that you're talking about cut out, you would think that everybody would absolutely love this track. I'm very much looking forward to it, but you know, some people in the Formula One world are. It's not necessarily their favorite, is it?
It does get a bit of a debate sparring in the F1 community, and you can see right there's the carousel we're talking about. That gets to go farther than the left-hander. That would happen coming down the back straightaway, go all the way around turn 11 and back up the hill to turn 12. So a little bit different. There's the chicanes we were just talking about. Fast right-hander there instead of the slow right-hander into that left-right chicane, and then right back onto the front straightaway. So a much faster sector 3 now taking out those hard braking zones and seems to be helping a couple of drivers. Nick Madsen improves on his time, 141.772 within about 2.26 seconds of your leader, Geithanger. Is that a bit of an off track there from, it looks like we were watching Matthias Beer there for a second.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. It was certainly an off track. Looked like an escape road got taken there. Yeah, all these things do happen, don't they?
Grabbing a look at Steven Sanders. He concludes his laps, currently 10th in GT3M, and across the line, improves one position up to 9th on the speed charts, improving to a 143.65. Mergham Aliou pulls it into the pit lane. A little bit of a drift coming through the corner from Hristo Ublev, trying to get all he can out of this lap. Will it improve? Can he grab the pole in GT4 Pro? Let's see as he brings it across the line. Not going to be close enough, and I think that time was disallowed by iRacing due to an issue, possibly an off-track or a 1X from Hristo Ublev, so he's going to stay in P2.
Yeah, well, he certainly gave it everything he had, and you know, there's not too much between himself and Aliou, so we'll see those two cars battling all day long, and what a battle it'll be.
Well, that's going to end the 10-minute qualifying session here for the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. Time to take a look at that starting grid, and it's all GT3 Pro out in front. Geithanger, Jonathan Paulette, Nick Madsen, Mark Drower, and Augusto Cassiami rounding out your top 5 there. And you don't have to go very far to find the first GT3 AM class driver. That's Julian Martinson sitting there in 9th with your GT3 AM class leader. Tom Bingham starting to his outside in 10th. Ibrahim Aliotes, Dennis Lemke, and Tony Dugan will round out your top 5 there for GT3 AM. And you can see Nelson D'Souza, not exactly the best qualifying effort from him. He's the last GT3 Pro driver, and we'll start at the tail end of the GT3 AM field. Moving our way down to GT4. GT4 Pro pole sitter Mergam Aliou, Hristo Ublev to his outside. Then you don't have to go very far to find the first GT4 AM class driver, and it's not Daniel Markov. Mia Velikov, a great lap from the 410 for Vop Sim Racing. He'll start in 27th. Daniel Markov, Mark Silcock, and Vasil Angelov rounds out your 4 cars for GT4 AM. And Mergam Aliou, Hristo Ublev, Iskrem Pondev, Piotr Matuzak, and Georgi Raychev, your top 5 for GT4 Pro. And that is your 34 car starting grid. We're going to have a quick, I believe is going to be the short pace lap here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. And then we'll be going racing for 1 hour here at Spain. Very popular track when it comes to the fans come in droves here, Jim, when Formula One comes here. And of course, the longtime site of preseason testing. This has become a very popular circuit, and now here in this series could be the last chance for a couple of these drivers to save their championship hopes, because going into Watkins Glen, it's going to be one final attempt for each of these drivers to try and get that championship. If they're not in contention out of this week, they cannot get that back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all coming down to it, isn't it? This is how it gets just more and more exciting as we go along. You know, what's not to like about Spain, particularly, in my opinion, northern Spain, hard to beat, sort of the eastern side of the country, although the whole thing is gorgeous and amazing. So yeah, definitely a popular track in real life as well as on the service. I just wanted to touch on something that you mentioned. Of course, that's Velikov's result today, qualifying among the GT4 Pro drivers will be Velikov. Great result for him. It's really nice to see him have a great day, and I hope that he's able to make some results out of that.
Well, it's time to drop the hammer and go racing here from Spain. Pace car is off, and Geithanger is away, going through the final corner. They'll take the green flag. 1 hour on the clock. Let's go racing here in round 6 of the championship. Down into turn number 1, long straightaway, downhill braking zone as they head into the first couple of corners. Hard right-hander for turn 1, already going too wide for second place. Look at Madsen, tried to dive up the inside of Geithanger, could not get there. He'll move up into second though, making a pass on Jonathan Paulet. And now the GT4s are off and away, and Mergam Aliou will lead them into 1.
Yeah, absolutely. That was exactly the battle in GT3 I expected to see between Madsen and Poulet. Madsen did manage to get around Poulet, started third, of course, but as you say, was not able to dive up the inside on Geithanger. I'm sure that battle will continue. Looking here at the GT4 cars, and it looks like Aliou is managing to get away just a little bit on Ublev, with Velikov not far behind.
They make their way on to the straightaway. Now the rest of the GT3 field starting to make their way through Sector 2. Up the inside of Neil Cooper goes Julian Martinson, current GT3 AM class leader. Here's Mark Brower, Matthias Beer going battling for 4th place in GT3 Pro. Beer using that slipstream, going to go to the outside as they head into the carousel down in turn 11. Not that traditional tight left-hander, more of a sweeping, faster left-hander than we're used to as they head up the hill into turn 12. Matthias Beer on the inside looking for the spot.
Yeah, Beer has had a little bit of bad luck, hasn't he, in terms of incidents, shall we say. He certainly had a lot of time to battle on track with the likes of Brower, Kachiani, Hill, Martins, and all those cars we see around him now. I'm sure he'd like to have a very good result, as would anyone, I have no doubt. But yeah, Beer and Brower, I'm sure will be battling all day long, although Kachiami is looking at the inside of Beer here.
Julian Martinson, a 146.228, a 142.49 for Guyton Anger coming across the line for the first time. Beer sitting right behind Augusto Cassiami. Cassiami's teammate Nick Madsen still running up in second as we take a look at August Cremelli making a move on Manuel Wacker for P7 in GT3 and 15th overall. Looking to the outside. Not the best move going through that corner, Jim. It just doesn't look like the outside line through a lot of these sweeping corners has anything to it yet. The inside is definitely the right place to be, right on that inside curve, as we see another move being made by Nelson De Souza on Phil Reagan in the 260.
Yeah, tough to go around the outside. The geometry is not on your side, especially at the sort of the early point in the race. The tires aren't maybe quite entirely warmed up, although they do warm up pretty quickly. But yeah, perhaps we'll become a little bit more viable later in the race, although then there will be marbles to deal with out there as well.
So that's going to show they're going to keep P617. We take another look at Matthias Beer. Still not able to get by Augusto Cassiami, working his way around him currently. P6 and GT3 AM. And already we're seeing these passing issues that we kind of talked about before we went live, Jim, how it can be kind of difficult to find passing opportunities at this track. We're already seeing it as we start to see cars get very close to each other, trying to make that pass happen, but just cannot get there. They almost have to force their way to the inside in a couple of these corners to be able to make that pass. There's not a lot of options right now.
That's true, and I think a track like this sort of, in a way, as we see Beer take a look at that inside of Cassiami, I think, headed down into turn one, but in a way, these tracks kind of invite that sort of elbows out driving, because on a lot of these turns, you have that tarmac runoff, maybe with a sleepy policeman or two, but it's not like, some tracks where you're going to immediately end up in the beach and be, completely day over.
Up the inside goes Neil Cooper, looking for 8th overall. Getting by your GT3 AM leader, Julian Martinson, in that 277.
What's happened to Cassiami? He had just inserted himself between Beer and Brower, and now is running in 7th. He must have had some kind of issue.
Possibly grabbing an issue for Cassiami. See exactly what happened. Hopefully we can grab a replay of that, but it could be something as simple as Jim is just, flipping it off track and getting turned around for a quick moment, not even registering, and just ending up around. It looks like Paul Coburn having an issue on the racetrack somewhere. He's running 24th overall right now. He might have gotten turned around. We'll see if we can grab a quick replay of that. He's running it towards the back of the 231, 24th overall, 15th in class for GT3 Pro. See, and this gets a little bit too deep on the brakes, and around he goes for a quick moment. No contacts, just maybe some worn tires. He's going to be hoping for some new ones when they come into pit stops here in about 25 minutes.
Yeah, that was a fairly well contained. As we're looking at Markov here, I'm going to think about trying to get around home depth. Markov, you've got to know, Josh, is thinking about getting up to Velikov, because Markov has shown himself very well in GT4 AM thus far over the season, and he'd like to replicate those results, I have no doubt. But unfortunately for him, as a GT4 AM driver, he's got one of these pesky GT4 Pro cars hit between him and his intended prey.
And you can see Markov running that traditional vertical grip racing white and gold scheme. Or is it black and blue, Jim?
It looks white and gold to me, but I don't want to start a sort of a religious war.
All right, I don't think we'll have any debate here. Definitely very clearly white and gold. Clipping the curve on the inside there through the first turn, right, Andern trying to work his way up to Michal Velikov, but like you mentioned, this Pondev sitting in between him, and he has a mirror full of Piotr Maruzak as well, and we're definitely seeing Markov. He's been that top dog in GT4 AM for so long. We're starting to see some other drivers start to rival him here a little bit, especially Michal Velikov, and especially those other GT4 Pro drivers saying, hey, we're in the Pro division, you're in the AM division, get behind us.
Yep, here's Rachel and Silcock battling away. You know, I wonder if maybe Markov just isn't as familiar with some of these tracks as others. I mean, it does play a big part. And there he is, and it looks like Mataszek is going to get by, isn't he?
It definitely looked like Mataszek made a move up the inside. You can see that headlight flash. It looks like he got forced off a little bit by the 369. Definitely did not approve of that move. And we'll see how aggressive Markov's going to get now on Mataszek. He might get a little bit more aggressive now, racing him how he races him. So we'll see exactly what happens with this battle. You can see that headlight flash still going on. I've always wondered where the key for, where the button is rather for the headlight flash on a couple of these drivers' wheels, because they use it quite a bit. It has to be close to their grips on the sides.
Yeah, yeah, it has to be. I mean, some of the guys I was racing with asked me if I have the what button. I don't even have it mapped. I never need it. You know, I mean, people just pass me, and I can't really complain about it because I'm slower than them.
Nicholas Helm running in 6th GT4 Pro. Neil Cooper trying to chase down Augusto Cassiani for 7th in the GT4 Pro category. You can see exactly how quick they can take this carousel section. You can see they can get that power down fairly quickly, as it looks like a bit of an early apex and sort of opens up on exit there, Jim. They can get a good amount of power down and really rotate through that corner. That could be where a couple of passing opportunities happen if these tires start to wear and they can't get that power down exactly how they used to be able to.
Yeah, you know, it does feel to me, having driven the Lamborghini a little bit in some of these GT3 style races, it does feel to me like the car, although it's a very stable car, the Lamborghini, it does seem to change a lot with the difference in tires. I mean, every car does, but you're absolutely right.
Suzuka going up the inside of Dennis Lemke. Let's pass happen before he even gets into the corner. So the 166 starting to climb his way back up through the field, already up about 15 spots from where he originally began the evening. Or, sorry, 11 spots from where he originally began the evening. Back there at the tail end of the GT4, inside the GT3 AM field. So trying to climb his way back up to the GT3 Pros as Augusto Cassiani. He has had a wild first 10 minutes to this. Like we mentioned earlier, it got into a bit of an incident in the top 5, fell all the way down now to 7th, and he has a mirror full of Neil Cooper and a windshield full of Nicholas Helm, so he is sandwiched in between two very fast drivers that he now has to try and defend on Cooper behind and try and make a pass on Helm in front.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think at this point in the series, these guys have got to start getting sort of a playbook in their mind for how these races tend to develop. You know, I mean, we're only not even 10 minutes into this thing, so there is plenty of racing left to go. So on the one hand, you have to be elbows out in order to get behind these guys, but at the same time, there's a lot of racing.
Moses Grandpondev, 3rd currently GT4 Pro. Right behind Mihail Velikov, who leads your GT4 AM class. Ooh, Nicholas Helm giving up 2 positions here on the racetrack. He gave up positions to Cassiani and Cooper. Falls to 8th now. Could there be some issues for that Hellracers Tershine number 177? As here comes Cooper down to the inside of Augusto Cassiani.
Yeah, it didn't look like he's going to make it quite happen there. Cassiani is going to scamper away this time. So whatever happened to Cassiani, he's now clawing his way back. And if he can get away, I mean, certainly he's got to concern himself with Cooper and Helm as Cooper has another look at the inside. But if Cassiani can get away, he'll be having another look at Beer, which is where he was whenever whatever mischief befell him happened to him previously. Ooh, Helm sticks the nose in. Oh no, Helm!
Goes Cooper! Helm got a little bit too deep into that corner on the rumble strip and taps Neil Cooper, and around goes the 153. Take a look at exactly what happened as they went through turn 5. This is them coming out of 4. And you can see he just tried to get to the inside, and maybe Neil Cooper closed that door, and Helm had really nowhere to go unless he slammed on the brakes. It looked like a bit of a racing incident, but also Helm putting his nose a little bit too far deep there, especially this early with still only 11 and a half minutes down.
I think that was a very, very optimistic send on the part of Helm. And I also think that the inside, that curve on the inside of the corner is a little bit off camber, so it's not flat. So I think had it been flat, I think he might have been able to get around without any contact, but not the case.
Demir Cooper falls to 14th overall. Gonna have to climb his way up through about 5 drivers in GT3 AM, and he's looking at the first one right now as he goes up the inside of Dennis Lemke. And he'll easily grab that spot. Now puts his eyes on Tom Bingham up ahead in the G85. Julian Martinson, Tony Dugan, and Ibrahim Aliot, a great 3 drivers who are leading currently in GT3 AM. You can really tell Julian Martinson trying to keep their championship hopes alive as they're a solid 15, 16 points back from the lead. They need a good finish here, and they're trying to keep their championship hopes alive heading into the final race, and as of right now, they're doing a good job of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm loving the shakeup that we're seeing in GT3 AM. You know, it almost seems like we have a completely different leading group every time we come out to this series with the GT3 AM guys. You know, I mean, Bingham's all the way down in 4th at the moment. Sander won our previous race. He's currently running in 14th in class.
Taking a look at Dennis Lemke, battling with Aaron Smith behind for the 5th position in GT3 AM. Making their way through turn 11. And taking a look at the way the points are going to be applied at the end of this race. 8th place, which is where Julian Martinson is currently running overall, or in the GT3 class, is going to grab them 33 points. And it goes down about 1 point each from there. So they as of right now, they're looking to make up about 5 points, or about 4 points rather, on the leader, Tom Bingham. That's nowhere near enough, Jim. He's going to need Bingham to start making more mistakes and start falling deeper down in the GT3 field, or they're not going to have enough opportunities to really make up that many points.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, well, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but lots of race left to go still. But yeah, I do love the shakeups, like I say. I like this feeling of just of like anything can happen, you know?
Anything can happen, and we're expecting anything is going to happen as we near into the final 2 rounds of this championship, next week being the finale at Watkins Glen, this one being the penultimate race of the season. With 45 minutes now left to go, we still have green flag pit stops coming up. We still have the final pushes to the finish. This is just getting started here, Jim. We're already seeing a bit of a shake-up in the GT3 AM field. Definitely a shake-up in GT4 AM, and GT4 Pro, a bit of a shake-up there as well, as Aliou gets over Christo Ublev for the lead. GT3 Pro, we're seeing the same drivers up in front. Guyton Anger, Nick Madsen, Jonathan Paulette, Matthias Beer, Mark Grauer in the top 5, but still some interesting racing going on there, and we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, it is nice to see Aliou there take the lead. Of course, I have no doubt that battle will continue for the rest of the race. You know, I tried to sort of get him to say when I interviewed him previously, Aliou, I tried to get him to draw him into a little bit of a battle, just verbally with between himself and Ublev, since they've battled so much on track. But he's pretty modest about it. I mean, you know, look, nobody's getting rich. We're all here to enjoy ourselves. So, yeah, they've definitely battled on track. Oh dear!
Contact! That's Velikov! And I believe Iskren Pondev there. Yes, it was. That was Pondev he made contact with. A very similar incident to what we saw just a little bit earlier on today between a couple of the GT3 cars. He went off track, came back on over that curbing on the inside, catches air and right into the car on the outside, and look who's up there now. Piotr Maruzak grabbed that spot away.
Yeah, we're looking forward to Velikov's car here. It seemed like Honda might have given that place back, or something strange.
Velikov gave that place back, it seemed like. Definitely wondering exactly what happened there. You might have felt bad for the contact. We've seen that sort of sportsmanship happen before here. You get Guy Danger, GT3 AM class leader, going right, GT3 Pro Cross leader rather, going right on by. But we've seen that before in this series. Everybody sort of has a lot of respect for these drivers, and we've seen that before, positions being given up. Whether it's correct or not, whether it was a steward decision or not, we see that happen quite frequently in all the Apex Racing League series, but especially this one. I think we had one last week as well.
Yeah, and this is what we just are looking at the struggle of in the life of the GT4s is, you're battling absolutely tooth and nail with these drivers that you've been, oh dear. Lemke getting into somebody there.
Lemke goes around 18th overall now. They're continuing to follow the overall grid. Wonder if that was contact or a self-spin getting into that corner.
Looked like he got into one of the other cars just a little bit.
Grab a look at that replay. Looks like a little bit of contact and a good bit of contact with that Lamborghini to his outside.
Yeah, that looked like a tap in the first corner and then a tap back in the next one, and Limca came off the worst for it. So Velikov and Markov now, their battle will be heating up, Josh.
Definitely will be as they continue to race on through the final sector of this track in the GT4 field. On board with Michal Velikov, looking up at Maruzak, and now Markov and Silcock, second and third in GT4 AM. Nobody in between them. Velikov, Markov, and Silcock are completely there when it comes to the relative on the track. And they are looking to keep it going as look at Markov making a move to the inside.
Wow. That is a lot of cars out there, and they're, all those GT4s are battling, and there's Beer just trundling along, I think that's, who's that? That'll be Grauer, I guess, now dealing with these guys. It sounds weird to say, Josh, but Madsen is only 2.5 or 2 3/10 back from Anger. At the lead, which normally Guyton Anger's got just a gigantic lead, and 2.5 seconds is a pretty big lead, but Madsen is clinging on, maybe only by a fingernail, but clinging on.
Here's the move for the GT4 AM lead, and it's gonna go to Daniel Markov for Vertical Grip Racing. He'll grab the lead back. I'm wondering if that was very close to a slowdown there, Jim. I'm wondering if he got one. Can Velikov get that spot back in the 410? Top two battling in GT4 and for the lead as they head down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I was just surprised to see how much curve Matischak took there. That was significant.
Ooh, very close to those GT3 cars as they start to butt their way into this fight.
There is the lead of GT4 Pro. That is Ublev. Doing everything he can to chase Aliu down. It is so hard to be battling for these GT4 cars, and then you're just battling, and all of a sudden here comes a GT3 car sticking itself between you and the other car, which I think is going to happen right here.
Yeah, they're definitely going to, but no battling going on between the GT4s. So we're starting to reach that point in the race, Jim, where the GT3 cars are definitely invading the GT4 field, and it becomes almost impossible to battle with a car one-on-one because you always have a faster car coming up behind you that you need to let by.
Yeah, speaking of letting by, that's Bingham and Cooper, even though they're not in the same class. They're certainly battling with Smith behind, and I believe it was Smith who had the issue with Lemke before. Just going by the look of his livery. I noticed something funny, Josh. Just a second ago, we were riding inside one of the Porsches. It looked like on the dash, the seat heater was turned on.
Is that a key that you can bind to one of your buttons to do that? I'm also wondering if it was.
Look down there. Is that the seat heater that's on down there?
I think it might be. Now here's the thing: is Tristo Ublev using a sim rig, and does it actually work in the sim rig?
Well, you know, he's got to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be authentic, would it?
Well, back on board with Ublev as he looks ahead to the 330 Emergum Alley-U, and he's dealing with what we just talked about, just GT3 traffic coming up all around, and one car into the pit lane. Looks like Andrew Brahma way off the base, down in 15th in the GT3 AM class, and like 32nd overall right now, so it seems like an unscheduled pit stop for him. But back to what I was saying, he's dealing exactly with what we were talking about. GT3 traffic coming up front, left, right, and behind you just all the time. You can't have a battle and try and grab that lead because you're always trying to be hyper aware of what's going on around you. You can't focus on one car.
No, absolutely not. And that's how I've gotten into trouble racing in multi-class races like this, is that, looking at my rear view when I need to see what's happening ahead, and then crashing my team's car and making all my friends mad at me.
Is that what happened during the 24 hours of Daytona there?
No, it wasn't our fault on Daytona, but that is what happened when I was in the car at Bathurst.
Okay, I was out of town for Bathurst, so I would have been competing in that, so I would have seen that, but I just know I woke up for the 24 hours of Daytona and just saw we wrecked out in the Discord chat, and I went back to sleep, so and that's how that went. But back to the race at hand. Taking a look at Nicholas Helm now. Nelson De Souza, he's had a great day. Nelson De Souza up about 16 spots from where he originally started the day. A great day for him. And he's continuing to race his way now up through the GT3 Pro field. And this is the first time he's dealing with GT3 Pro drivers all day. He was cutting his way through the GT3 AM field. Now to the inside of Nicholas Helm, the 177. He's going to move up to 7th overall and now 7th in the GT3 Pro class. A great day, getting even better for Nelson De Souza, as we even only have 24 minutes down. He still has 35 minutes left.
Yeah, De Souza didn't have a great start to his race. He's, well, the timing tower says that he's gained 17 positions. He was certainly way down the timing tower overall, and he's getting himself back up to where we'd expect to see him, certainly in the top 10. A great driver.
Aaron Smith cutting through GT4 traffic with your current GT3 AM class points leader, Tom Bingham, as Smith goes to the outside looking for the spot.
Yeah, great battle here. 2 wide, with the GT4s battling away just behind. Bingham running in 4th, of course, the points leader in GT3 AM, so he'll be looking to better his on-track position if possible. As you mentioned a moment ago, we haven't been through the pit stop shakeup yet, so shortly that will come into play as well.
And there's the battle between Ublev and Alley-U for GT4 Pro lead. Kevin Matuzak Skrempondev battling for 3rd in GT4 Pro. And look at that. Look at the 99 Racing black driver there. I can't even point my finger exactly who it is right now, but just cutting through the battle between Markov and Velikov as they try and battle for their GT4 AM class lead. And you can see one car getting stuck there in between those two, just having to cut through them. It's just, I feel for the GT4 drivers because they can't have a fight really, but I also feel for the GT3 drivers. They don't want to have to deal with any slower cars, but they're forced to just by the about 10-second damage between the two, and the 10-second speed difference, and huge contact from Pondev on Dennis Lepka.
Lepka can't catch a break, can he? I did see a headlight flash from Pondev there, so he was upset about something. Lemke gets a good old punt.
And that definitely probably did not feel good coming from a much slower car in GT4. And Pondev is into pit road with damage.
Yeah, a lot of front end damage there. Of course, his engine isn't in the front, but lots of his cooling equipment is. Pondev.
We'll see if he can make it back onto the track, because Pondev is trying to make up as many points as he can. He's in a bit of a fight for 4th place in GT4 Pro in the points with Georgi Raychev, and Raychev going to try and grab as many points as they can now from this race. As we're 27 minutes down just about. Pit stop's about 10 minutes away, Jim, and we usually see Geitnanger be the first to come down. Do you think Nick Madsen might be going for an undercut, or Pole, Beer, anybody going to try and undercut Geitnanger for the lead?
You might try it if you're Madsen, although I don't know what benefit an undercut would get you necessarily on a track with this many cars, because you're not necessarily going to have clear, track in order to make up time. Anger out there turning the best laps of the race. Madsen's gap now back to Madsen up to nearly 4 seconds, 3.9, just 4 now. So yeah, he could try something like that, but I don't know what it would get him. Better to wait, I think, for Madsen, so he gets more running time in a lighter car with that lighter fuel load. That's my thought.
Looking back at the battle between two GT4 cars, Georgi Raychev and Mark Silcock battling for 30th overall. Raychev 4th in GT4 Pro, 3rd place in GT4 AM is Mark Silcock right behind for Revicek. As another GT4 car comes in and a GT3 car as well.
LU.
It is Aliu and Rick Van Ackeren coming in for Blackbird Racing. So 2 more cars down into pit road. There's not enough cars coming down pit road right now for me to say green flag pit stops are starting now, Jim, but I think we might see a couple cars start to dive on in, trying to get an early pit stop out of the way and regain time on the racetrack.
Yeah, I wonder why Aliu decided to do that. Maybe if we hear from him later on in the race. And of course, drivers, if you get a good finish in the race or just want to chat with us, please do dip into the Discord and come and be interviewed. We'd love to talk to you, but I wonder why he decided to do that. I wish that we could call him on the phone during his race and ask what the thinking is behind that early stop. I would have thought they'd want to wait a little bit more, but it shows what I know. Oh, there.
Smith goes for a spin in the 242, making his way through turn 3. Not a great day for Aaron Smith. Obviously made contact with another car earlier on in the race, so bad day turning to worse as Velikov dives up the inside of Markov, looking for the GT4 AM class lead.
Yeah, we'll see how this develops. I feel like Markov, we've seen him be very fast in this car. We've seen him not only lead his class, but be mixing it up with the GT4 Pros. So Velikov qualified pretty well today. Oh, I think he's going to get a run on him. Oh, contact mid-corner. And Velikov arrives. I was just going to say, I think Velikov must be driving with the thought in his mind that P1 in GT4 AM is his, and Markov has come by it unfairly. There's Ublev has come down now. But that aggressive driving didn't really work out.
So it's still only a handful of drivers that have made their way into pit road. Just looking at the timing screen, Akron, Brahma, Ublev, Aliu, only 4 cars have made their way into the pit lane out of 34. So we still have 30 cars who have not made a trip down into the pit lane yet. Green flag pit stops should be starting fairly soon, but I think those pit stops might be just a tad early, Jim. I don't know if they were for damage or if they were planned pit stops, but they might have to save a bit of fuel towards the end if they want to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah, that does feel a little bit early to me too, but I've very often been proven wrong by drivers who know more about it.
There's a reason we are broadcasting and not in the paddock on the pit box for these drivers.
Yeah. I would long ago have spun off the track.
Phil Reagan for XZ Racing. In the 260, 10th currently in GT3 AM, looking up at Dennis Lempka, who's gotten into a bit of trouble today as well. Not a lot of fault of his own, though, for Lempka. He has gotten the short end of the stick a lot of the time here. as Mark Grauer comes in and 2 more cars are in. So green flag stops have pretty much officially begun. Reagan hits the wall coming into the pit lane.
Yeah. Wow.
That was unexpected from Phil Reagan. Now, I believe they have a fast repair that they can grab. Is he going to grab it here? Yes, he does. Grabs that damage fixed. What on earth happened when they dove into the pit lane? Oh, he got loose going through the flat section, didn't he? Yes, he did.
Well, I guess you want to attack the pit entry, but maybe that's a bit much.
And that section of the track, Jim, it's flat. And obviously, only a handful of cars are running through that at about medium speed to make their way into the pit lane. Rubber doesn't get laid down there like it does on the track. It's very slick, no grip at all. And when you take it too fast, especially with no banking on it, you're gonna lose the car and you're gonna have some wheel spin. That's exactly what happened.
Speaking of losing the car and wheel spin, there's kind of taking a whole lot of curb. Managing to keep the car on the up and up. He's got now up to 6 seconds. He's sliding all over the place. Anger off the track. We don't normally see that kind of thing, do we?
Are his tires starting to go for the worst? Is he gonna make an audible come down pit road this time?
Well, we'll see. Looks like he's diving. Let's take another turn, but we don't normally see him slide that car around like that. He's now lost a half a second just about of his gap that he previously had on Madsen. So if Madsen has done a better job of looking after his tires, we could certainly see a shakeup as this race develops.
Wacker comes in. Looks like Neil Cooper. Sorry, no, he's not coming in. Manuel Wacker is in. Paul Coburn starting to make his way out of the pit lane. So more and more cars starting to trickle their way into their pit stalls to grab some fuel and some fresh tires and get back out on the racetrack. We've seen it pretty much all season in the hour. They just cut the race in half and they're able to make it to the 30-minute mark a little bit after that and then make it all the way to the finish off their pit stop. First of the GT4 field really starting to come in. Piotr Maruzak is in from the lead of GT4 Pro. Been a handful of GT4 cars that have come in. The rest of the GT4 field starting to work their way in. Silcock and Raichev are in. That only leaves Angelov and Pondev and Markov out on the track. If you take a look at Neil Cooper working his way around Ibrahim Aliot.
Yeah, I'm just keeping my eye on Bingham. As I said, the points leader currently running in fourth just behind Cooper. There he is. I would expect, of course, if he can, he will, but I would expect him to do everything he can to move on up the timing tower. I just saw a moment ago him turn the fastest lap in class and then have it immediately stolen by a car behind. And there he goes into pit lane. Well, let's hope he can at least keep it out of the wall in the pit.
Beer in, Dugan, Bingham, Gramelli, still just a handful waiting to come in. Mainly those GT4 Pro cars, there's only been 2 of them that have bought themselves in, Grauer and Beer. Neil Cooper, Nicholas Helm, Nelson Souza, Augusto Castellami, Jonathan Paulet, Nick Madsen, and Guy Danger still waiting to bring themselves down pit road.
Flashing back there. Watching those lights. Get out of the way, you GT4 cars. I don't care if you have battles of your own to concern yourself with.
Multiple cars still fighting with traffic as well, as the pit stops just shake up that traffic even more than they already were. There's your leader from GT3 Pro, Geitnanger coming in. Madsen also in with him. Are we going to see the remainder of the GT4 Pro field make their way in? Polay is in. Will Kassiami come in? Are we going to see a whole wave of pro drivers come down into the pit lane? I don't think we're going to see Kassiami just yet. He stays on the racetrack.
Keep your eye on those numbers. I was just going to say, keep your eye on those numbers at the bottom of your screen there. It looks like Poulet is going to possibly pass Madsen in the pit. We'll see how this shakes out when everybody comes out.
Got an anger out first. Nicholas Helm overtakes him as he has not come down pit road just yet. Madsen, Poulet, Martinson, De Souza, Cooper and Elliot into the pit lane, all making their way out relatively the same time. Madsen in front of Pole. So Anger, Madsen, Pole remain your top three provisionally, but at the moment it's Kassiami and Helm leading GT4 Pro, waiting to come down into pit road.
Yep, there he is, Kachiami. Storming along. He's got himself a 12-second gap over Helm behind. He's got another couple of seconds on Anger. Anger, of course, virtual leader, as you mentioned. There's Helm. So Kachiami could do very well here with a gap that size over Helm behind. It'll be interesting to see where Kachiami comes out. Yes. He could come out ahead of Madsen, possibly. Unless my mathematics are wrong, and they certainly are.
Oh, look at the dive from Guyton Anger. He wants to get by that GT4 car. Now, if he passes Nicholas Helm under green and not with Helm coming down into the pit lane, that's not going to be a good look for Helm. He's going to lose even more time on the GT4 Pro field because they're not very far behind Anger, albeit 7 seconds. Saying 7 seconds is not very far is very, very false. But in the terms of pit lane, you lose about 20 to 21 seconds on pit lane. Helm's going to fall down a considerable amount as he finally makes his way in, along with Kassiami, so Anger will retake the lead.
Yeah, it looks like total pit lane time is in the 40-plus seconds. So Anger was 42, Madsen 44. So yeah, that's a significant amount of time, isn't it? Especially when we're talking about tenths.
Yeah, and tenths mean a lot on this track especially, and in this series especially, because it's so difficult to make passes under green, and we've seen that before. So pit road is a great opportunity to try and jump a couple of cars, and a couple of drivers did so under these pit stops, but also pretty much the same results coming out of the top 8 in GT4 Pro and the top 10 in GT3 AM. We take a look at Maruzak and Ublev battling for second place in GT4 Pro.
Something has happened to Markov, according to the timing tower anyway. It looks like he might have removed himself from the race. Could that be right?
I believe so, because I don't think he's on the racetrack anywhere. He's 5 laps down.
Something awful has befallen Markov.
And that's not going to be good for him in the points, especially because now this is just going to be points farming for the GT4 field. Because with Aliyu, Matazak, and Ublev, your top 3, now the main thing that needs to happen is Mark Silcock needs to work his way up the field in the GT4 field, so then he can try and get more points on the race so he can catch up to Markov, because right now he has a gap of about 32 points. He needs all the points he can get now during this race to try and take over that lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And viewers, I do want to apologize. We try to be on top of every incident, everything that happens on track, but there are a lot of cars here with a lot of classes and a lot going on. We do apologize. We cannot get to it all, but we can certainly get to this battle between Matischek and Ublev. Ublev doing everything he can to try to get around. We are looking rearward for Matischek's car at the front of Ublev's machine. It's got a pretty good smattering of tire marbles. Been whacking it on the front.
Taking a look at the points right now, and I believe somebody from the stewards, please let us know if we're correct or not. But I believe each driver gets a drop week for this series, so they're able to drop a race, their worst race, so they can then have a little bit more points and a little bit more of a leeway there, so they can drop their worst race points-wise. If Markov chooses to drop this race, then it is not going to matter. But if he gets the amount of points that we're looking at for this race, then he's still going to end up with the points lead, but a couple points are going to be made up by your third place driver in the points, Mark Silcock, as Boyko Shapo didn't take the green flag for this round. So GT4 and points getting a little bit more interesting, but the GT4 field isn't large enough to make up that much points, Jim, because even with Markov out of the race, now I believe Silcock has pulled his car off the racetrack and retired it. They're 33rd and 34th in the race.
I am dying to know what's going on there, but yeah, I mean, the points race getting closer only benefits us as fans and commentators because it would mean a closer and more exciting race at Watkins Glen.
And a correction, Mark Silcock's still on the racetrack. Sometimes the timing screen gets a little bit weird, shows cars in positions they're not on in the racetrack, so my apologies for that. Silcock's still on the racetrack in second of GT4M. So we take another look at this battle for the second place spot in GT4 Pro between Matizak and Ublev. They have not been separated since that pit stop, and they're still racing hard for that position. And that's a crucial position for points as well.
This battle between Matizak and Ublev is really quite a thing. Meanwhile, Aliu got himself a 6-second gap up there. Ublev driving the wheels off to try to get around Matizak.
There's the GT4 Pro leader, Morgan Aliu. Ibrahim Aliu battling with Tom Bingham, and you can see the block being thrown there on the inside. On board now with Tom Bingham as he tries to improve on the 4th place in GT4AM at the moment, or GT3AM, apologies. Trying to extend that points lead over Julian Martinson, but right now Martinson running in the lead currently is going to make up a handful of points towards that championship, keep those championship hopes alive when they head into Watkins Glen in 1 week's time.
Yeah, you know, Josh, we haven't talked too much about it, but that battle between Martinson and Dugan is really a thing of beauty. I mean, Dugan is all over the rear of Martinson's car now, looking to get that lead in GT3M.
And you can see them working their way past one of the GT4 cars. Right on around they go. That's the 333 of Georgie Raychad they work themselves by. Not far back is the battle for third between Alio and Tom Bingham currently on the racetrack. Only about 3 seconds back from that fight for the lead. So GT3AM running fairly close together, and Aaron Smith's in this battle too.
Yeah, look at Bingham flashing those lights. In a way, I think it's lucky for Smith to get around Bingham, isn't he? Well, okay, now, but yeah, I think it's a little bit lucky for these guys, the Aliots, the Binghams and the Smiths of the world, that battle is going on ahead between Martinson and Dugan. Otherwise, they might drive away.
And Aaron Smith is going to grab that spot from Tom Bingham. So that puts Tom Bingham back to 5th. Aaron Smith up to 4th. And Ibrahim Aliou coming his way back through the 333. As we just saw the leaders a couple of turns ago on the front straightaway too. So those are your 3 running for 3rd currently in the GT3AM category. A couple of close fights in GT3 Pro. Specifically Marius Beer and Nelson de Sosa will be running fairly close together on the racetrack, with Mark Rauer not too far behind. They're working their way through the turns 1 and 2. And there's Mark Rauer a little bit further back. Only a handful of minutes remaining in this race, only 14 minutes. I was talking about it with our producer, Dennis Branch, before we went live, Jim. It seems like before the pit stops, time goes a little bit slower. We see a lot more battles, but sure, as we see contact in between the 285 of Tom Bingham and Ibrahim Aliout. No incident, but very close door bang in there as they went into turn number 1. What I was saying was, it seems like the first 30 minutes of this race goes by a little bit slower. We see a lot more battles develop through, and then right after the pit stops, it seems like a lightning quick sprint to the finish, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Is only 13 and a half minutes are now left.
Yeah, Bingham doing everything he can here to get around this other driver. I thought that was a little bit A little bit rude of Alouette there, but looks like Bingham is going to maybe make this pass and get that pass done. Bingham was really having to be patient with that driver. I wonder how he pronounces this name. It might be Alouette or something like that. I keep wanting to say Alouette, but that's possibly right. Just like the count of the song. Alouette. Gentil Alouette. Anyway, Bingham passed and hoping to scamper into the distance. Just required a lot of patience on his part. And Smith will now get by as well. Now Smith is going to have a look at Bingham as well. Wow, look at that lockup. Just a tiny puff of smoke there, Josh, from Smith.
But Smith gets on by the 278 as they work their way through turn 12. And a great move from Aaron Smith. Puts himself up into fourth and currently in GT3 AM. And you can see now a distinct difference between the GT3 Pro and AM class, completely separated on the racetrack when it comes to standings, or when it comes to the overall standings. So first through ninth, all GT3 Pro, and then from 10th down to 24th, all GT3 AM. The battles continue in each of these classes. 12 minutes left on the clock, and time is running out. The headlights are going on as well as we start to see the sunset here in Spain.
Yeah, in a way, it's almost like I don't know how to say it, but it's almost like the game becomes more of a chess match the longer the race goes on, especially for a driver like Bingham. You know, maybe didn't qualify too terribly well. Maybe wasn't quite as familiar with the track as somebody like Dugan or Martinson, so didn't qualify quite as well. But with this length of the race, you really start to get you get very familiar with the track, don't you? So maybe Bingham is getting a little bit more familiar and now is able to try to see if he can't close that gap down to Dugan and Martinson.
About 6:45 sim time at the moment. So that is contributing to the sort of dust that we're starting to see fall over the racetrack as the sun starts to set. Headlights go on for each of these cars, and we're going to see a small track change, Jim, but with only 11 minutes left, I wouldn't be relying on a track change if I was anybody in this field. I'll be wondering, oh, how is my car going to change when the light goes off and when the track starts to cool down? They're not going to have that much of racing when the track cools down.
Yeah, it does make a big difference, but of course by then, you know, as you say, the racing will be mostly over, and as well, their tires should be fairly shot. Bingham here trying to do his best to defend from Smith as we head down the start-finish straight. I think Smith is at least going to be able to get his nose in, if not the rest of his car. We'll see.
Up the outside goes Aaron Smith. Bingham on the inside. Bingham going a little bit too deep. He might have gotten a slowdown for that. Looks like he completely cut the corner. Headlight flash going on from Tom Bingham. Not sure if he got a slowdown, but Aaron Smith's going to keep that third place for the time being.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I think that was a legitimate pass on Smith's part. Maybe I didn't see it from Bingham's perspective, but not sure about that flash, that light flash there. That might have just been a congratulatory light flash. Like, hey, nice pass, buddy. Well done.
Have we ever seen a non-angry headlight flash in this series, though?
I don't know. Maybe we have.
I feel like the headlight flash is a bit of an anger emotion attached to it. Unless, of course, you're coming across the line swerving with the headlight flash for the win.
Yeah, true.
Now, inside 10 minutes left in this race, so we're starting to see a little bit more sun come out. Cloud cover was contributing to a bit of that sunset, but the sun's still starting to set. And by the time we finish this race, it'll be about 7 p.m. sim time, so definitely getting into those sunset hours. And if we had another hour added onto this race, then we would obviously see a major shift in the track, but only a tiny shift in the track as Geit Anger continues to lead the way in GT3 Pro. Madsen, Pole, Kasiyami, and D'Souza rounds out your top 5 for the GT3 Pro category. Julian Martinson leads GT3 AM with Tony Dugan, Aaron Smith, Tom Bingham, and August Gramelli rounding out your top 5 there. Top 5 for GT4 Pro, Mergam Aliou, Christo Ublev, Pial Maduzak, and Iskrem Pondev, with GT4M being Mihal Velikov, Mark Silcock, Vasil Angelo, who just came down into the pit lane for an unscheduled pit stop, and Daniel Markov off the track in the final place for GT4M. the Feller Cove in a world of his own right now out in front of that field. As we take a look at Manuel Wacker and Andy Thompson going battling for 6th.
Yeah, great run down there. You know, I was thinking that Bingham might be able to, as I said, might be able to possibly chase down the Dugans and Martinsons of the world, but it looks like instead that Smith got better of Bingham, and Smith will now see if he can chase those cars down. Not too much time left for Smith. I don't know that he's going to be able to close 4 seconds and change to Dugan, but who knows? Here's Dugan. Looks like Smith is maybe getting the better of him in terms of lap times, at least in the last couple. But he's pulling over half a second now, isn't he?
Aaron Smith last time by 1:44.21. Tony Dugan a 1:44.96. So definitely a bit of a difference between those two in the lap times as Smith tries to run him down, and Dugan trying to run down Julian Martinson as he's starting to run out of time. And that gap's not very far, but he's in that bubble of the gap, Jim, that we've pretty much talked about since the beginning of the season. There's a bit of a bubble that these cars can get into to where you can't gain any more time up on the car in front. It becomes almost impossible to break that bubble and get to the bumper and try and make a pass. That's what makes passing in these GT3 cars so difficult on tracks like this.
Yeah, it's hard, you know, but there's really not an easy, especially not at this level. I mean, there's some absolutely fantastic drivers in this series, so you know, at the level that these guys are, it's going to be tough to pass them because they're just good, you know? I mean, as much as personally, I like to blame the track because that gets the responsibility off me, myself. But, you know, with drivers of this caliber, it's never going to be easy to get around.
And Smith still battling with Tom Bingham for 3rd place in the GT3 AM kit category. They've been about the same gap since this battle started, but Aaron Smith has gotten past Tom Bingham a couple of times, and Bingham now trying to regain all he can as he runs in 4th. Julian Martinson looking to make up at least a handful of points on Bingham before we head into the final round. Wacker up the inside of Lemke, and look at your 278 busting their way up into 17th now. That was Manuel Wacker. Lepke in front, and they're cutting their way through a GT4 field. As you can see, the 223 of Andy Thompson there now in 15th.
Something would appear has happened to Audio-Technica, now running in 9th. You may recall he was previously battling with Bingham and Smith. They are currently running 3rd and 4th, so a lot of people have managed to get by Audio-Technica in the last few minutes. Wacker, Lemke, Thompson, and Gramelli all got by since the last time we saw him. Here he is. Something must have occurred. Driving all by himself, Josh, it would appear.
What exactly happened to the 278? Making his way down the straightaway that Hamilton and Rosberg got into contact in 2016. Seems like possibly a hardware issue. He was going incredibly slow.
Yeah, well, these things do happen. Looking at Lemke now, and there we are looking at the GT3 and leader Martinson, who's got Dugan all over the rear of his car. Dugan might be able to pass for the lead here, Josh. We got a good bit of racing left to go from Dugan's perspective, under half a second behind Martinson. If Dugan's going to make something happen, it needs to be pretty soon.
There's Cassiami. He's battling with Nelson D'Souza, who we've been talking about all day, having a great run. If he's going to run from about 24th starting up 20 spots to 4th, it is going to be the best drive of the season, in my opinion. And he's going to grab that 4th spot away from Augusto Cassiami. Nelson D'Souza is on a tear today.
Wow. Yeah. Great result for him. We have seen some things, some bad luck befall him. As I recall, he didn't have a very good race at Sebring because other cars kept driving into his. But Sousa's having a great day today, as you say.
Now inside 4 minutes remaining here in the race. And here's the battle for the GT3 and lead. Dugan to the outside. Gets the nose up there, trying to dive into the outside, gonna quickly turn inside as they turn left. Back to the right they go, and covering off the spot is Martinson.
Yeah, a little bit too late on the brakes there was Dugan, but he will have some more attempts before the end of this thing. I think we've seen that if he gets a good run, he's not afraid to stick that nose in there.
Oh, a GT4 car is off the track.
Is that Ublev? Kondev?
It's one of those two. Somebody went off the track there in the GT4 field. Not exactly sure who it was. I think that was Janowski. It was indeed Janowski. So Janowski going off track there, gets out of the way of the GT3 cars battling as Martinson keeps the lead for the time being.
Yeah, Dugan's really got to make this happen soon. He's got Martinson, I think, putting up a pretty decent defense. We'll see him swing over as far as he can once we get onto the main straight, if he's still ahead by then, which I assume he will be, to try to cover off Dugan getting into him and making a pass into turn one. Just saw Martinson's number blinking there, so I think he might have picked up a 1X. It won't impede him at all, but Dugan will certainly be looking to get a good run here, and I think he does, Josh. So we should see some action down the front straight. Dugan is going to make it. He's going to make his attempt on the outside here.
There he goes, a little bit of a door bang coming from Tony Dugan. He looks for the lead in GT3M. This is 2 laps to go for this field, but Martinson deep on the brakes goes all the way in. Dugan now trying to work the outside, not going to work out for him. It's going to be still Julian Martinson out in front as Aaron Smith and Tom Bingham join the fight. 4 cars now battling for the win here in GT3M with 2 to go.
Yeah, I wondered why Dugan decided to get on the brakes a little bit earlier, and that's got to be why, because these 2 cars are very close behind. Dugan having another loop try here, and Dugan might get it done this time, Josh, although he's forced to go all the way around the outside. Smith is ready.
Now they red flag at contact. Dugan into Martinson, into Smith. 2 cars involved. Bingham continues on into second.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was Dugan just getting into the rear of Martinson's car, and then Martinson got spun, and Smith hit his. We'll see it over again just here.
Here is that replay. Just late on the brakes. Dugan trying to get the win into Martinson. Martinson into Smith. Nowhere for Aaron Smith to go in the 242. And Dugan with a lot of damage to that back end as well. How far back is Tom Bingham going to be? Bingham might be able to sneak in and grab the win.
It looked like Bingham was able to squeeze by. I don't know if he's going to be able to get around Dugan over the course of the next lap, but he'll certainly be able to hang on to second anyway.
And you can see Dugan running away up at the front. Oh my, look at this battle between a couple of drivers in GT3 Pro. That's D'Souza and Augusto Cassiami, who is trying to go around the outside of a couple of GT4 cars. As Guyton Anger makes his way into Sector 3, he will take the checkered flag this time by through the final 2 corners. Making his way up the hill through turn 12, through turn 13, and then back onto the front straightaway through turn 14. Another dominating day. And it's going to be 4 in a row for your GT3 Pro category points leader. Guyton Anger grabs the win from Spain.
Yep, there's that happy flash we were talking about. He crosses the line alongside Aliu. Both of their races over at the same time in different classes. Looking here at Madsen, who will take second. Madsen's certainly glad he was able to get around this man Poulet early in the race, so that Madsen was able to do his best to try to catch up to Anger. You know, it's funny, Josh, that it's unbelievable almost that Anger's gap was only 5 seconds at the end of the race.
So we saw that contact a couple of moments ago in the last lap between Dugan, Martinson, and Aaron Smith. Dugan continues on for Evil Assard, and coming through the final couple of corners, he will take the checkered flag, and assuming he doesn't spin out or any post-race penalties, he's going to grab the win in GT3M. But Jim, I would assume our Apex Racing League stewards are going to have a look at that incident and decide post-race exactly what's going to happen with the points penalties.
Yeah, you know, you could see from Dugan's tail lights that he was kind of feathering the brakes. I just saw, as I saw it on the replay, it looked like he was trying to just keep as much speed as he possibly could. So, I mean, we've all been there, but at the same time, and he and Martinson had a great battle going on. So, kind of racing into it. But yeah, I'm sure the stewards will have a look. I think that was kind of Dugan's fault. Again, I'm not a steward, so it's not up to me, is it?
We'll see exactly what happens with that. Once we get that information, we will relay it to you here on the broadcast, whether it's during our post-race show or during the next broadcast from Watkins Glen. But you can see the teams running together on the racetrack like they do during the cool-down lap of every race. And man, just the domination from Guiding Anger continues. It's coming to be expected now, but 4 wins in a row, 5 on the total for him this season. His worst finish being 4th place, still in the top 5, is just amazing for the 123 and that entire team.
Yeah, nice to think that your drop race might be when you just the one time you didn't win.
Great day from Nelson de Souza as well. There he is in 4th. Drove up from 24th overall to finish 4th overall and 4th in GT4 Pro. An amazing day for him, but it's Guiding Anger out in front. Nick Madsen, Jonathan Paulette, that we just talked about, Nelson de Souza, and Augusto Cassiami rounding out your top 5. Matthias Beer, Mark Rauer, Nicholas Helm, and Neil Cooper rounds out your 9 cars, finishing in GT3 Pro. Now GT3 and Tony Dugan, Tom Bingham, top 2 finishing out there. Julian Martinson, a dominating day from him, ending unfortunately in a spin from Tony Dugan with 2 laps to go. Augustus Gramelli and Dennis Lemke rounds out your top 5 for GT3 AM. Over to GT4 Pro, another good day for Mergam Aliou. He gets the best of Hristo Ublev, and that is hopefully going to give a couple of extra points to Aliou heading into the final round in Watkins Glen. Piotr Matuzak, Istram Pondev, Georgi Raichev, and Yulian Janovsky rounds out your field for the pro category of GT4. And now the GT4 AM class. Velikov, Selkok, your top 2, with Angelo finishing 1 lap down, and Daniel Markov. Not a good day for Vertical Grip Racing as Markov finishes in the pits with 10 laps down. Well, that's the results all finished up. And Jim, we have some interesting points battles going into the final round, and some interesting on-track battles that we've seen develop over the last couple of rounds that we're going to see reach a crescendo and reach the end of the line here in round 7 from Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a great race. I mean, you know, I love every single entry of this series. I wanted to say a great result today from Aliou. Of course, we've seen him pull out the win before, so not a surprise to see him with the win, but a commanding 10-second lead had Aliou over Ublev.
Waiting to see if we grab any post-race interviews. Remember, if you were in this race and would like to be a part of our post-race show, especially if you finished in the top 5 of your respective class, we do want to speak to you. So hop into our Apex Racing TV Discord and hop into the interview waiting room, and we'll drag you in and get you the interview here in our post-race show. But as of right now, just looking back at that race, it seemed like we had a lot of battles going, but even after the pit stops, the battles kept going, and we saw new battles develop as well. It started to become a couple of drivers, and battles were going on between 2 to 3 to 4 drivers at one point for the lead in GT3 AM. There was some great racing here from Spain.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's that way every time we get these guys together. You know, as I say, with drivers of this level of competence on track. But yeah, and again, I'm just loving the shakeups. As much as you don't love to see one car get into another, as we saw happen in GT3 AM. We do like to see close battles on track, and there was plenty of that.
Well, it looks like we do have one driver in our interview waiting area, and he's going to be standing by with Jim Hodgson, 2nd place in GT3 AM, and your current GT3 AM points leader heading into the final round, Tom Bingham for Performance Link Esports.
Mr. Bingham, welcome. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Great, man. Great to have you. Congratulations on your finish today. Probably pretty surprising, but let's get to that in just a moment. Just tell us how the race developed for you. I'm guessing you weren't too happy with your qualifying time.
Yeah, no, I have a bit of a problem. I'm never good at quali. It's just not my strong point. I'll be honest. But race pace is normally pretty good for me. Like I do a lot of endurance, so my so putting in the laps is normally not too bad. But I had a bit of problem with a little bit of blocking early on and just trying to work my way through the pack. And then luckily, unfortunately for obviously Martinson and I can't remember who the other chap was. They had a collision in front of me, and I was just able to squeak by and ended up with a P2. But I didn't really deserve it today, I don't think.
Well, you did a lot of battling today. I mean, it seemed like it seemed like you were coming from behind a lot, and you had quite a battle sort of in the midfield of your class with Ibrahim Alouat. Um,
Yeah,
it looked like you were some
sorry,
pretty
go on.
aggressive defending on his part.
Yeah, I was getting. I got to the point where I started to get a bit frustrated. I'm normally not the kind of driver that would send it, with intent, but I got to the point where I was so frustrated with the, couple of move blocks. I just thought I've just got to get past this guy, so put it together and made it happen.
Yeah, I was watching that battle and how relieved you must have been to get around him. But then, as soon as you got around, you had Smith all over the rear of your car.
Yeah, there were so many people all over me, and I was over so many people. It was just a crazy event, absolutely crazy. Really good track actually. So thanks for you guys for picking it. I was surprised by how fun it was to run laps around here with people.
Yeah, especially because of the way you hear it talked about in the Formula One circles.
Yeah, definitely. I really like this track actually. It's got a nice flow and that sort of thing. But I'd never done a lot of hard battling with people on it until today. And Dennis Lemke and Martinson and those guys. I mean, geez, they're keeping me on my toes. Those guys are quick. It's a good track.
We've got some really great drivers in this series. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to watch. Sometimes I get a little bit spellbound. I forget I'm supposed to be talking about it in addition to just just watching. So a great result for you today, P2. As you say, it sort of fell in your lap in a way toward the end of the race. But how are you looking forward to the rest of the series? Well, what we have left anyway.
It's going to depend on how many points I have now, I suppose, and who I'm going to be battling now for the final round and hopefully the championship win. I'm really excited for Watkins Glen. I personally don't know it, but luckily my teammate is like a master there, so he'll be teaching me the lines and that kind of thing. So, but really looking forward to the next round and hopefully get it in the bag.
I'm looking forward to it too. It'll be interesting to see you guys drive it. I'm usually doing crashing at Watkins Glen. It's pretty tough for me. I don't quite have it mastered, but we'll look forward to seeing you there. Congratulations again on your P2 finish today and on your points in the championship, Mr. Tom Bingham.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Well, that was Tom Bingham, second place in GT3M, and he leads the points in GT3M as well, heading into the final round. And Jim, coming off of this round, heading into the final round, what are you expecting? As we're going to see the championships finally be solidified, and we're also going to see a lot of on-track battles be solidified as well. It's going to be a great round, and Watkins Glen, also a very unique track, similar to Spain in a couple of ways, but also very, very unique as we're running the entire boot layout with the bus stop. It's going to be a great final round of the championship.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's very, very different from this track just because of the elevation change. Also the surface quality is very different. Watkins Glen boots, I mean, you have, patches all over the track, whereas Catalonia is just, an FIA, like a grade 1 or whatever they call it. But, so Watkins Glen can be, it's rough. There's elevation, there's on camber and off, some very tight sections where you definitely don't want to get into the Armco, and then also a pretty wide runoff there at turn 1. So it'll be really interesting. I cannot wait. It's going to be a ball.
And hopefully you'll join us here in about a 1 week time for the finale for the first season of the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. We are crowning not 1, not 2, not 3, but GT4 champions next week in Watkins Glen. Coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern live on Apex Racing TV. And we're going to crown a GT3 Drivers Champion for Pro and Am, as well as the GT3 Teams Champion for the overall, and the GT4 Drivers Champion for Pro and Am, and GT4 Teams overall winner as well. So 6 total championships, 2 teams, 4 drivers. Make sure you join us live here starting at 3 p.m. Eastern in 1 week's time from Watkins Glen. For Jim Hodgson, Dennis Branch, I am Joshua Lee. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you for the series finale in Watkins Glen.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.